Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Wellness Wednesdays. So I'm April Benatolo. I'm the CEO at Momentum. And if you are looking to put a little love on your mental and emotional well-being this morning, I think you've come to the right place. We are excited to get started this morning. We have a wonderful meditation and a fantastic speaker lined up for you today. And before we do that, I want to take a second to thank our sponsors. So we have a large number of companies that, thank goodness, support Momentum all year round. And their support has in part helped us to make this whole virtual series free and open to anyone in the community to register for. So we definitely want to thank them. And thankfulness is a big part of our theme this morning. We'll be speaking more about gratitude in a little bit. And before we get into that, I want to have Andrea get us focused and in the right place with a bit of meditation, a little bit centered on gratitude in this time of year.
Thank you, April. Fall, don't you love it? The change of seasons, the change of the leaves and the colors of the leaves, the cooler weather. Such a great time to think about harvest and to think about how far you've come and the abundance of your life and to be grateful for it. So as you ponder those things, take a couple of deep breaths and let's settle in. I was listening to a speaker this morning, and she talked about how our brains create evidence for our view of the world. So for example, what are your thoughts about the year 2020? If you've written it off as a year of hurricanes and floods and pandemics and disaster and social unrest, then that is one way to look at it, and your brain will find all kinds of data points to support that. Also, if you choose to look at 2020 as, yes, those things certainly are going on, and I am grateful for breath. I am grateful for life. I am grateful for my family. I am grateful for the opportunity to be on this call this morning. Then we'll find data to support that gratitude. So think about right now what you're grateful for in this season of harvest and fall abundance. What are you most grateful for? As you think about that, just notice in your body any sensations at all as you think about what you're grateful for. And starting at the crown of your head, just notice the backs of your eyes, your jaws. Pull your tongue from the roof of your mouth. Lower your shoulders. Notice your belly, the tops of your thighs, the front of your shins, the tops of your feet, the soles of your feet, and back up through your calves to where you're seated on your chair. Notice your lower back and your upper back, and down through your arms and out through your fingers. And hopefully you noticed somewhere in your body where you feel that gratitude, where you feel those positive emotions, and you can call those forth whenever the weight of the world comes down, as it often does. And you can take a deep breath and remember what you're grateful for. So take 2 more deep breaths, and as you inhale, inhale that gratitude into your body, and as you exhale, exhale it out into the world. And when you're ready, come back to the screen and we'll get started. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea.
Allie, will you do us the favor of introducing our speaker this morning?
I would love to. I got to meet Alycia Levels-Moore when I was an intern at Rev Birmingham, which is an economic development nonprofit. And they were partnering with her through Urban Maine and Main Street America to do some community organizing in Woodlawn, which is near Avondale. And when I interviewed her, I was so impressed by her eloquence and her enthusiasm for being a part of that community. And even though she's not from there, she shared with me that wherever she lives, she thinks it's really important to be involved in that community, even though she's very busy with her 2 young babies. So she recently founded ASL Creative Strategies, which is a project management company and program that creates spaces, education, and partnerships with the purpose of eliminating racial wealth gap by supporting the creation and scale of Black-owned businesses. Not only that, she is an award-winning gospel singer, and she has traveled to sing, and she's classically trained. And she worked on this project called More Fight, where she partnered with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And so that was aimed at breaking the stigma around mental health and wellness. So you can see why we chose her to speak today about gratitude. And now I'm going to turn things over to her.
Good morning. Thank you, Allie. That was so beautiful. Thank you. I am just so glad to be here with you all. Thank you, Momentum, for having me. And so I want to talk a little bit about gratitude. Andrea, thank you so much for that meditation, because I was all in my feels. It was helping me gather myself. And I think it was a perfect intro to what we're going to be talking about today in regard to gratitude. Gratitude will pull us through. So I want to start us off with a quick story, because I want you guys to be able to really follow me and where I'm going. So picture this, right? You're starting a new business venture. Well, I'm starting a new business venture. I'm launching new products. I am executing one of my first big projects for my company. I have this amazing team of women. They're working with me. I am super excited. I have one beautiful baby girl. I'm having some family challenges with my mom. We're kind of, on the rocks, but we're working through it. And then boom, the pandemic hits, right? So now this new business, it's still staying afloat, but that team has completely changed because they have to answer the call to their own lives. I'm not talking to my mom at all now. I have 2 kids and I am spent. Not to mention I'm now Mrs. Webb MD, because I'm trying to figure out everything to keep my family safe in all of these times. So it's bananas. And I'm looking around and I'm trying to figure out how not to lose it. And how not to take everything that I have in front of me for granted. And in that moment, that's really when my perspective was rocked. But it got even deeper. So through all of this, right, my husband and I call ourselves going on a getaway. Note to self: if you take children with you, it is not a getaway or a vacation, okay? It is a family trip. So we called ourselves going down to Chateau Elan. It's a vineyard in Georgia, and I mean, it's beautiful. It is tranquil. It's all of the things. And I wake up early, and I look around this beautiful resort, and I look around our room, and my husband is sound asleep with my oldest daughter, and her foot is laid across his face. And my newborn baby girl, in all of her newness, she is whining and letting me know my 2 hours are up. It is time to feed me again, woman. And in that moment, I was reminded that everything around me, my husband, my children, even being in this place, it all was a manifested prayer, right? It really were my daydreams and my wishes realized. And even though I wanted to grab my bottle of Chardonnay and run up out of that room, I had to remind myself that this is what gratitude is all about. Because I had a choice in that moment. I had a choice to look at my daughter and say, oh gosh, this is not a vacation. My kids are here. Or I could be reminded about the loss I experienced the year before when I lost my first daughter. So instead of looking at the situation and not being able to recognize the gratitude, I looked at my child and I said, thank you, God, for not just restoring me with one, but you gave me two. As I stared at my husband with his worthless nipples, because he could not help me feed this baby, right? I remember dating him in my 20s and crying when the weekends were over and he would have to head back to Birmingham and I would be in Atlanta. And I just remember looking at him, snoring. And I said, you know what? This is the man that I love. This is the person that I hope for. And this is the one I wanted to be in my life from the time I met him when I was 17 years old. And so at that moment, my perspective was rocked. And I realized that gratitude will pull me through. When life is a whirlwind, when it's uncertain, when it's frustrating, when you rather pack up your Chardonnay and hightail it, right? In the midst of pressure, you have to whisper to yourself, I am built for this. So I know everyone's microphones are off, but I just want you to repeat that to yourself. I am built for this. So in that moment, I was really awakened to learn to shift my perspective and find my place of gratitude. So before I continue, this is not just like me talking to everybody. We are a team, okay? So in the chat, I want you guys just to tell me, how are you feeling? Locate yourself. I'm happy. I'm tired. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling anxious. I'm worried. Girl, I'm full of joy. In the chat, if you guys could just drop your feelings, locate yourself. Tell me where you are, how you're feeling, and we're going to talk about that. I want to see how you guys are feeling because I don't want to get on here and just yap. I want this to be a group effort. I want all of us to be here and to be present. So let's see what you ladies are saying. Thank you, Gloria. Gloria said, I'm feeling confident and I'm feeling happy. Melody said, I'm finding sunshine on a cloudy day. Yes, girl. I'm feeling restless but hopeful. Yes, listen, I feel you, Lee, okay? I feel a little balanced this morning. Okay, good. Thank y'all for sharing. Y'all continue to tell me, awaiting the next season, grateful, uplifted, grateful to be alive. We're in the right place because that's what we're talking about today. Continue to share those things in the chat. I want to know how you're feeling. Like I said, this isn't just for you to sit and listen. I believe that something I say will ignite you, but I also want to know how you're feeling because it'll help me to know exactly what to talk about and how to address things based on how you ladies are feeling. Yes, grateful to see another day, rested and focused. Tanya, could you pour me a cup of that? I need some of that. Okay, I feel overwhelmed but thankful. That's beautiful. Listen, I'm just happy. Thank y'all for participating. Okay, so let's dig down into it. What is gratitude? So this is power statement number 1. This is my personal definition of gratitude. I learned about gratitude in this way from a book I read called The Motivation Manifesto. Great book. And so they define gratitude in this way. It's not focusing on the shadow, but focusing on the light around us. And I thought that was so beautiful, right? Because when you think of a shadow, you're standing and it's just one dark spot in front of you. But in order for a shadow to work, there has to be light, right? And so gratitude is saying, you know what? Instead of focusing on this one dark spot, I choose to focus my attention on all the light around me and to not lose sight because of this one area of darkness. Remember, the darkness cannot exist without the light. So it's a beautiful thing, not focusing on the shadow, but the light around us. So the way I like to describe that is we pull our gaze away from the darkness and the shadow, and we put our gaze on all that life has to offer us and the blessing it is to live. But something else that I really, really want to dig down to, ladies, is I want us to be reminded that it is a choice. Joy is a choice. Peace is a choice. Gratitude, these are all choices. We create these things. We generate these things. We are not entitled to them, but we demand them by taking personal responsibility, right? So a lot of times you're walking through life and it's like, okay, I don't feel joy. I don't feel peace. But remember, these don't just fall off the sky because we're having a human experience. We're not entitled to them. We have to demand peace to show up in our day. We have to demand joy to show up in our day. We have to demand gratitude. So it's important for us to tighten our focus. Now, I'm not saying to belittle your situation or your feelings, because I think sometimes there's a lot of things that happen in life, as everyone knows. So looking at gratitude and demanding things to show up is not saying I'm not feeling a certain way. It's not belittling your situation. But what you are saying is that things can be improved. And remember, gratitude can also help us to locate where we need to change. So it's important that we have the right perspective. The right perspective equals the right response. Let me say that again. The right perspective equals the right response. So I believe that without gratitude, you can't really see beyond your current circumstance, because things will always feel hopeless, as though you don't have power. And so what we just talked about, remember, we have power. The reason we have power is because we demand joy, we demand peace, and we demand gratitude to show up for us. So we have to be vigilant in how we respond to our circumstances, because our circumstances and how we respond to them really dictate our perspective. So remember, perspective determines our response. So let's remind ourselves of something. We have to remind ourselves of who we are. And it's always important to go back and redefine what success is. So I think that in this day and age, and you guys can just throw me a thumbs up emoji or a little hallelujah hand in the chat, right? In this day and age of social media and everything else, and just an oversaturation of information, it is very easy to compare yourself. It's very easy to look at other people, other moms, other wives, other business women, other leaders. It's very easy to look at them and say, Lord, what am I doing? Where am I failing? What is going wrong? Right? It's easy to do that. But what I found is that happens because, one, our focus is not tightened, right? But then two, it's because we are defining our success by someone else's definition. So I want you to really think about, how do I define success? I found more peace and more gratitude when I redefined what success meant for me. So for some, right, success may be more money. It may be a promotion. It could be a myriad of things. But I had to redefine success for myself. Success was being in love with who I am and fully accepting myself. Success was being grateful for every opportunity that was in front of me. Success is being happy that I'm healthy and that I have a family to love. Success is that I'm always working toward healing, right? And so you have to redefine what success means to you, because guess what? You will always feel off track if you are defining success by other people's perception and what they think you should be doing. I don't know about y'all. Has anyone ever come to you like, well, I think you should. And Alycia says, I think you should mind your business, right? Leave me alone, because people are always, don't worry about what I'm doing, okay? And if I listen to the voices of everybody, we will always feel off track and we will not be able to stand in a place of gratitude. So redefine success for yourself and make sure it's not on just basic things, materialistic things, because as we know, right, based on where we are, those things could change. Things could change, but redefine success with some real anchors, some real substance, and more so about who you want to be and what brings you the most joy and what brings you the most peace. So this is another power statement that I want to put out there for you all. Don't bend under the weight of perception. Don't bend under the weight of perception. Alycia, what does that mean? That means exactly what we just talked about. When people perceive you should be doing a certain thing, or you should show up a certain way, or if I was you, I would, or I think you should. Do not bend under the weight of other people's perceptions, their opinions, or what they think of you, because it will get you off track in staying of a place of gratitude. Because I can't appreciate all of who I am if I'm comparing myself to who people think I should be. Okay? I can't appreciate all of who I am and find gratitude if I am comparing myself to who people think I should be. Don't bend, girl. Don't bend under the weight of perception. Okay? All right. Now listen, y'all send me something in the chat. Let me know y'all hit me some little clapping emojis or something. I need the amen coin. So be grateful for where you are and what you have. So remember, we are choosing joy and we are choosing peace. We are demanding it to show up in our life. But most importantly, this is one thing I want us to remember in all of this. Be present. Be present. Be present. When things are chaotic and hectic, it is easy to be somewhere else. But in every moment, it's not always the easiest thing. And sometimes it is easier said than done. But do your best to be present in every moment. I like to think about it this way. Most of the time when people experience a life event like death or the loss of someone, there are big things you remember, but it's really the small joys that you think about. It's the small things. It's just the riding in the car. It's the laughs. It's the watching the TVs. It's just sitting there in silence. And if we're not careful, we can miss the small joys of life if we choose not to be present, right? Because we are so overwhelmed by all the things happening around us. And so the way that was helpful for me and showed up in my own life is I had to be reminded that things are seasonal, y'all. Things are seasonal. Where you are right now, how you're feeling, you won't always feel that way. It won't always be this way. When my first daughter, when she was a newborn, she's a feisty little thing, and she would wake up every 2 hours, as most babies. And I remember just being so tired. I don't even think it was tired. I think it was like exhaustion. If there's another synonym for exhaustion, please tell me, let me know. Because whatever it is, that is what I was feeling. I was so tired. And I remember in these moments, I had a choice. I had a choice to get up, be frustrated in all of my grogginess, pick the boob up, give it to her, and throw it back down, right? Or I had to remind myself, this little beautiful baby, she is not gonna be this small forever. This is just now. She's gonna turn into a toddler, and then one day she will be a 25-year-old woman who can't just sit on me and I can't rock like this. And so I had to remind myself that this is just seasonal. So even with the struggles that the season brought, to just breathe it in, to take it in, to be present, to be present, be present, because what you're feeling is seasonal. It won't always be this way. If you're feeling mental fatigue, if you're feeling those things, whatever you're feeling, if you're feeling shattered, I see someone say shattered there, you won't always feel this way. Things change. And the reason I know is because when I experienced loss, the loss of my first daughter, I did not think I would ever be able to come out of that place. I felt I would always feel that way. But eventually I was able to journey my way back to peace, journey my way back to hope, and I was restored in a beautiful way. It doesn't mean that it did not hurt. It does not mean that I still don't think of it, but it does mean that you will get to the other side of it. But you have to remind yourself, right? So let's lay our hands on our hearts and remind ourselves this morning, I am built for this. I want to remind you, like, you really are stronger than what you think. We women, we do not give ourselves enough credit. I mean, really, the weight of the world, like, we're just so bomb. Like, we don't give ourselves enough credit. We can do more than what we think, right? It takes right perspective, and it also takes time to set aside some time to care for yourself, right? So I know, like, self-care is like super trendy, but we have to remember, besides it being a trend, it's a real thing. Take time. Find something to do that you love to do just for the sake of doing it. Not looking for results, right? Not looking for accomplishments or accolades, but just for the sake of doing it. So for myself, I journal. I've been journaling since I was in 4th grade, and I literally have journals from elementary school. It's amazing. But I found myself, the more I journal, the more I find a space to just pour out my thoughts and my feelings and my emotions and locate myself. It always helps me to be aware of where I am and where I could grow. Right? So let's keep on going, because y'all can listen. I could talk about this all day. So really quickly, I want to get back in together. Now let's shift our perspective some, okay? So let's take a moment, and I want you ladies to tell me in the chat what's going right. Now let me explain. A lot of times when something's happening, people are always saying, what's wrong? What's wrong? Are you okay? And I think sometimes it's easy to just blurt out everything that's going wrong. But in this moment and in this time of gratitude, I want you to tell me what's going right. So, hey, I woke up this morning. That's what's going right. That might be as simple as that. I have food. I went to Starbucks and there was no line. That might be what's right. Whatever your what's right is, I want you to tell me. So in the chat, I want you to drop what is right. Because we know there are a lot of things going on that are not right. A lot of things going on that are wrong. A lot of things going on that are stressful, right? We're playing so many roles in our lives. But right now, in this moment, I want you to shift your perspective, all of us, and I want you to tell me what's right. Alycia, I'm alive. We got Sandy. Thank you, Sandy. Sandy said, listen, what's right is that we are alive. Come on, ladies. Tell me what is going right. Yes, yes. She got 2 kids where they need to be. It was an act of Congress. April, we're clapping for you, okay? I'm proud of you, April. You're doing your thing. Her son is now at AU and her daughter's in school and friends. Ooh, look at you. There you go. That's right. Come on, y'all. Tell me what is going right. What's right? Because it's easy to just ramble off what's going wrong. But as we shift our focus and our perspective toward gratitude, let's talk about what is going right. So for myself, what's going right this morning is I actually woke up before 8 o'clock with a newborn. And I actually was able to put on makeup for y'all. Listen, that's what's going right for me. Okay. And it's the simple things in life. It's the little boxes. So y'all continue, yes, staying consistently physically active, cool weather. Yes. Children are well. That's what I'm talking about. Yes. Thank you, ladies. We want to shift our perspective. So we can also take this into our lives, right? A practical thing. When you're at home or you're at work in the midst of whatever's going on, you're like, oh my God, I'm about to pull my hair out. I want you to stop. Take a moment, look around, and ask yourself what's going right. And instantly, when you ask yourself what's going right, it totally shifts your perspective. So that's something I want us to take out of this moment into our daily lives. When things are going crazy, stop and ask yourself, what is going right in this moment? And it might be hard to find because the other day, my 1.5-year-old, she took out everything out of the cabinets and she took everything out of her diaper bag and she taught her little sister how to scream, and they were both screaming at the top of their lungs. And in that moment, I had to look around and say, what's going right? I'm almost finished with dinner so I can put her to bed. That's what was going right, right? So you have to find whatever it is in your life, right? When things are just chaotic and hectic, you find what is going right. Okay, so that's a new mentality I want us to adopt, all right? So let's go down a little bit, and I'm almost done, y'all, because I don't want to take up too much of y'all day. So one of the things I also want us to get down into is, okay, well, we talked about gratitude, how to shift our perspective. We have a few power statements, but how do I have more gratitude? So one exercise we just talked about is in the moment of chaos, in the moment of things that may be causing you some stress, stop and ask yourself, what is right? Another thing I think is really good to do is each day. Now, it might be hard each day because our lives and our schedules look different each day, but take a moment each day to take inventory of all that's in your life and write down 3 to 4 things that you are grateful for. 3 or 4 things that you are grateful for. So make a list when you wake up, or you could just keep a mental note, right? In your phone, you can get on your notes, and each day just try to think of 3 or 4 things that you are grateful for. Write those things down, and I want you to honor those things and remind yourself that it's a privilege to steward them. Because when we change our position and our perspective, we can look at things differently. So even if you have children, you remind yourself it's a privilege to steward my children, right? When you think about yourself, I am honored to love myself. 3 or 4 things I want you each day to just get up and find something around you to be grateful for, because it can really help you to just stop and shift your focus or reshift your focus and to find the beauty in the moment. So the very last thing that I really want to get down to is affirmations. Affirmations. So for me, affirmations, they remind you of what a blessing it is to be in the land of the living. It reminds you the fact that you have breath, right? The breath of life flowing through you, it's evidence enough that you will make it. So as we've been reminding ourselves all morning, I am built for this, okay? So that's an affirmation. It automatically brings you alive. Like gratefulness brings you alive, in my opinion. So one of the things about affirmations is our words are by far the most powerful thing we personally possess. It is our weapon. Our words are our weapon. Ladies, I know you know this, right? Okay, because our mouths can set things ablaze in our household. They can calm situations. And our mouths, our words can also remind us of who we are. Okay, so we want to use our words for good. So depending on how we choose to speak about something in our lives, we either give our power away or we maintain our power. Okay, so we are not going to give our power away by using our words in the wrong way and absolve ourselves of responsibility of living a remarkable life. Because if you think about it, right, and it sucks, but if you know you got a friend like this, it's okay. And hopefully you're not the friend, but the one who's always so negative. It's like, Nancy, stop being so negative, right? Negative Nancy. It's like, well, I don't know about this and nothing's going right. And I mean, maybe the kids will go to school, maybe they won't. I don't know. Maybe, it's just like, whew, it is daunting to be so negative. But when you do that, you give away your power and you take away your own personal responsibility to live a remarkable life. So even in the midst of things, remind yourself, okay, and you can be honest, it may be stressful, but guess what? I'm going to come out on top, right? This coworker may be super annoying, but I am going to bring them over into the light, right? By being kind and showing up and doing my part. So we have to make sure that we use our words for good. And we don't give away our power by absolving our responsibility of living a remarkable life. Living a remarkable life, it really is up to us. But by saying the wrong things, right, it can take us in a totally different direction. So my grandmother, Maya Angelou, would say, well, she's really not my grandmother, but Maya Angelou is my grandmother in my head. I think everyone should have a friend in their head, okay? Maya Angelou is mine. But one thing she says that has been a staple for me in life is you may not be able to control the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them. I'm gonna say that again. You may not be able to control the events that happen to you, as we can see, right? But you can decide, because it's all about a choice, we can decide not to be reduced by them. And I want us to be reminded of that today. Because remember, you are not great because of a title. You are not great because of a role or an accomplishment. You are great because you decide for yourself who you want to be and what you want to do. You are great because you decide for yourself who you want to be and what you want to do. And that helps us to stay in that place of gratitude because we're always reminded that I have control of how I see this moment and how I respond to this moment. We have a question there, and I'm going to get to that question. I'm going to do some affirmations, and I'm going to jump into this question. And then April and Allie, you all let me know after I kind of go through these affirmations what direction you all want to go. So I have a few affirmations that I really want to hone in on. And so they're going to be on the screen. And so you guys can keep your microphones on mute, but I want you to say it out loud to yourself, because it's one thing to use our words correctly, but it's another thing to make sure we're saying things out of our mouths. Sometimes we think things, but it's some power in being able to say it. So one of the things I want us to affirm today, I am more than enough as I am. I will appreciate all that has yet to be revealed about myself. Okay? All right. I am more than enough as I am. I will appreciate all that has yet to be revealed about myself. I am great because I choose who I want to be and what I want to do. I am great because I choose who I want to be and what I want to do. Let's go to the next one. I take responsibility for my joy, my peace, and my happiness. I take responsibility for my joy, my peace, and my happiness. My joy doesn't come from a title, a role. It doesn't come from a relationship. It doesn't come from being a mother or being a friend, a wife. I take responsibility for my joy. My joy comes from me because I choose and I demand joy peace, and happiness. I am grateful for the breath that moves throughout my lungs. I am grateful for the breath that moves throughout my lungs. Let's go to the next one. I am grateful for every manifested dream, prayer, and desire that is before me. I'm grateful because remember, ladies, most of the things that you're in right now, they're things that you wanted. Whether it's that position, whether it's being a mother, whether it's being a wife, whether it's being in a relationship, whether it's being a better friend, right? Whether it's that new house, whatever it is, it was once a dream. So I'm grateful for every manifested dream, every prayer and desire that is before me. I will not take for granted all that I have been blessed with. Let's say this together. I define what success is. I am not defined by others' perception of who I should be. I just feel we need to say that one again. I define what success is. I am not defined by others' perception of who I should be. Let's go. We have one more. Let's go to the next one. That ain't, okay, I didn't know. That's it. Okay, so this one says, I love the way it goes. I will obsess over freedom, not fear. Because we have to use our minds the right way and our words the right way. And in the times that we're in, we have to obsess over freedom. How do I get freedom? I get freedom by choosing joy, peace, demanding gratitude, by taking responsibility for my own happiness in my own life, right? And I choose to use my energy to move further into freedom and to not move further into fear, okay? So let's spend our time obsessing over freedom and not fear as we continue to move through gratitude and understand that gratitude will pull us through if we demand, right, and take responsibility for our joy and our peace using our words and our affirmation and reminding ourselves in the moments of chaos that I am built for this. So April and Allie, is it okay if I go ahead and answer this question, or is there some other direction you all wanted to take?
No, that's
You
great.
good with that?
To go into our discussion time.
Awesome. Okay. So we have a question. So it says, negative people drain me because I tend to try to help them see the positives, but it takes so much effort. At what point do you just accept that they will always be negative? Listen, girl, I'm your amen corner because I know. And so I think for some of us, we may find ourselves, we're that friend, right? We're the friend that everyone calls. We're the friend that everybody wants to just pour out on and brain dump. And then we find ourselves always trying to help navigate them. So what I learned in myself personally, Gloria, is that I have a natural bit to be an encourager. So sometimes people's situations find their way to you because of your makeup. But remember, you are not responsible for anyone else's life, right? Or how they perceive a situation. You're responsible to just put the seed there, to plant the seed. So what you do, Gloria, is you give the seed, right? You hear the situation, you give them the positive side of things, you give them the suggestions, you give them the insight, you plant the seed, but it may not be yours to water, okay? So you plant the seed, and they have to be willing to do the work. Because the only reason, one of the reasons, should I say, that you're able to even give that positive encouragement is because you have done some work yourself, right? And it took some time. Doing work on yourself takes time. And so you just plant that seed, and they will have to till the ground. Someone else may come and water the seed, but it's not your responsibility to see all of the results in that one time. But another thing I want to be remind us of is that, listen, y'all, we didn't get here the way we are overnight. It took some time, whether good or bad. So whether it took 20 years, 10 years, 5 years. So remember, people's change, it's not going to come overnight. And as amazing as you are, it's going to take some time for people to really see it for themselves. So you just plant the seed as a good friend, right? As a good partner, you plant the seed, right? And you allow it to grow in other ways. You're not responsible for their outcome. So don't waste all your good at Yala Van Zandt and Oprah, girl. You just give them what they got, okay? You'll give them what you have, and then you allow them to work that thing on out themselves. You're not responsible for it. All right, so let's go. Yes. Hey, Adrian, thank you. Thank you. Yes. Awesome. Thank you, Lee. I appreciate that. Anybody else have any other questions? Y'all let me know. I'm here, but I appreciate y'all so much for having me. It is really awesome to be able to share in this moment with you all, in this time this beautiful, it's not sunny, but it's a beautiful fall day. I don't know, it just feels good. Even though it's like hurricane season, so yes.
You talked about living in freedom and not in fear. How do you get out of that mindset when there's so much uncertainty right now?
Yeah, I think that it goes back to what we talked about earlier, right? The right perspective, having the right perspective. We have to look at the situation differently. And Andrea, she really covered it too as well in our meditation. Whatever we focus on, she said our brain will kind of create data points, and that will be exactly what it is. And so we have to be reminded, what am I focusing on, right? So, and listen, I know some of you might not agree, but sometimes you might have to turn the news off, okay? Sometimes you might have to turn the radio off. Sometimes even I found myself too, some of my favorite shows, they're not always edifying to me. So we're taking in so much information. Our phones are dinging all day with notifications and news updates in the stock market. There's so much information and there's so many things that we're feeding ourselves, and we don't realize that those things can feed us fear. They can feed into our anxiety, and they can feed into our worries. And so really just shifting your perspective, choosing what you're going to focus on, and being reminded of what it is that you are supposed to be doing in this time, in this season, and not losing sight of that. It's easy to get into fear. I mean, like I said, you watch the news, you watch your favorite shows. There's so much information and visuals and imagery being put on us. And so we have to be reminded to sometimes unplug. Like I said, find something that you like to do. So for me, it's journaling. Find something that you can do that brings you peace, right? That helps you to stay and get back centered and focused. But I really think it's about our perspective. What are you choosing to focus on? And how are you speaking about it? So hopefully that was helpful, Allie.
That was, thank you. Let's see if anybody else has any questions.
Alycia, I have a question.
Yes.
So I know that part of what you do with ASL is it's about eliminating racial inequity and supporting Black-owned businesses. And I wondered if you would just share with our group, maybe tell us a little bit more about that work.
Yeah, absolutely. So as Allie talked about earlier, so I work with Rev Birmingham on some different things through our equitable entrepreneurial pipeline. And so really, I just saw a gap. I saw a gap of people who had desires, ambitions, and business aspirations, and there were not a lot of places for them or resources for them to get connected to those things. But then also there was a direct correlation between the ability and opportunity to start a business and then the wealth gap that we see in America, right? And so we know that wealth comes from the creation of land, real estate, business, all those different things. And so really what I saw was being able to ensure if more people of color can start businesses, they can begin to build wealth in their own communities, but then also we can help to close the racial wealth gap in America. And so it's really just helping to support those small business owners to start, but then also to scale, because only 5% of Black-owned businesses have more than 50 employees. And so really helping Black-owned business owners to scale their businesses, to think big, and to work through that process of having a larger company and corporation. And so it's working with organizations like Rev, like the City of Birmingham, and small business owners to connect them to those resources, but then to provide some tailor-made educational things that directly speak to that type of business owner to help them succeed. And so it's work that I love. It's work that I'm passionate about and that I love to do. I really consider myself a small business champion. And because my personal goal in life is, and I say all the time, is I'm dedicated to seeing people win, right? And so if that's showing up in your business, if that's showing up in your life, if that's showing up in all of your beautiful creativity, I'm dedicated to seeing you win. And so part of that is dedicated to seeing Black business owners have the opportunity to take a part in all of the amazing things before us in this country and be able to offer their services and their ideas to the world. So yes, that was very long-winded, but that's that.
That is super exciting. And I would love for you to keep in mind that we have over 500 executive level women in the Momentum Network that would love to support the work that you're doing and could serve as a connection and mentors to some of the folks that you're working with.
Yeah, awesome. And so there was two things I see. So thank you, Allie. Allie put my personal website. So I'm multifaceted. So my the ASL Creative Strategies, I put that website there. So it's aslcreativefirm.com. And my personal website, it goes to the work that I do in terms of creativity and mental wellness and health through music. So like Ali expressed earlier, I'm classically trained in opera music. And so I had an opportunity to travel to Pisa and all these different places and sing and do all these amazing things. And I also realized that music is a medium for healing. And so I had the privilege of creating a project entitled More Fight. I partnered with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention to create a project to just really help to bring about healing and empowerment through the power of music. So I went to Tuskegee University, and while at Tuskegee, we had a classmate, beautiful girl. She was 23 at the time, a mother, a teacher. She committed suicide, and it really rocked us as a campus. But then not only that, I had a mother, two sisters, and a brother all attempt suicide. And so I realized that something was going on and that something was not being talked about. And so that's when I also became an advocate for mental wellness, for mental health as well. And so being able to create a musical project around that, to not just talk about it, be able to use music, something that's so universal, to speak to people and empower them. So that's something I also do. So AlyciaLevels.com is where you'll find information about that, and ASLCreativefirm.com is where you can find work about my consulting and helping to close that racial wealth gap through entrepreneurship.
Alycia, next time you come on and speak, can we open up with a gospel song?
You know you can. Okay, April, see, if you would have let me know, I would have drunk my tea. But absolutely, I would love to sing for you ladies. But then also, if you go on AlyciaLevels.com, you'll be able to find some music. And I'll put the name of the project there. And if anyone has Apple Music, you can find it. And actually, I have a song entitled I'm Built for This, right? Which is one of the reasons why, because it's an affirmation for me, and I made a song about it. And so on that project, you can find that song there, and you guys can listen to it, and I hope it brings you some encouragement.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. Thank you for lifting us up today. I don't know about all of you ladies. I totally needed this today. I woke up this morning and I thought, yeah, today's the day I need this. I shared with Andrea and Allie that yesterday an arrow was shot through my window. Like a hunting arrow. Yeah, like through the window and into the wall of my study. And yeah, it was terrifying. But anyway, the little kid across the street was doing target practice with his new hunting bow. And so when I put in the chat that I'm grateful to be alive today,
yes,
why? Because just an hour before I was sitting in that chair. So anyway, I am so grateful. We are all under just an enormous amount of pressure right now, and it is important to realize that while we may be in a pandemic and we may have a lot going on, we don't have bombs dropping over our head. We can still get food at the grocery store, and there's a lot of, there's quite a few positive things that we are discovering about ourselves right now. So I agree with you. We were built for this.
Yes, you were. And I mean, I think that's such a beautiful perspective. It goes back to what we talked about earlier, right? Shifting your perspective. So instead of saying what's wrong, ask yourself in the moment, what's right? Right. And so like you said, April, I can still go to the grocery store and get food for my family. My home, the outside of my home is not a war zone, right? Like asking myself, what is right? What is right? And it would help us to relieve the stress and the anxiety that comes with the time. But also something you said I think is so important is that in this time, even given everything going on around us, I've been able to learn a lot about myself. Right? It forced us to slow down. So as women who are leaders and just doing so many things, I can guarantee you before March, we were running around like all over the place, right? It was nonstop. And you probably had said to yourself one time or another, I wish I could get a break. Like when things slow down, I'm going to. And we didn't know that they were going to slow down. And so really it gave us an opportunity to slow down, to reevaluate things. for me, it gave me more time to spend with my family. You know, the first couple of weeks, it was like, listen, everybody needs to get away from me. But now, you know, it's like, hey, I'm glad you're here, right? And so it's giving us a moment to really even just get more in tune with ourselves. But it's if we choose to see it that way, right? So it's all about how we choose to look at the situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Alycia,
So,
thank you for being
Thank
here.
you.
Allie, thank you for sharing those links. I hope you all will go out to Alicia's website. I know I'm going to go out and listen to some music this morning. And also, Allie, if you wouldn't mind sharing a few more links, if you can put the links to the Momentum mentoring program. So I mentioned that we have a large network of women. So if any of you would be interested in joining that network as a mentor, or if you are looking for a mentor to help you in a specific area of your life, we do a free mentor matching program. So thank you, Allie, for putting that link out there. Also, if you feel so inclined to support Momentum, you can do that by going to momentumleaders.org/donations. We certainly appreciate all individual support. This work that we're doing is really important, and we can only do it all together. So thank you so much for being here this morning. I hope we will see you next Wednesday, and have a great rest of your week. Stay safe, stay dry, and stay in a space of gratitude.